Morning boys and girls, morning parents. I hope you're keeping well and welcome to your Tuesday maths lesson. Now yesterday we looked at sorting our different characters and our different toys into two different groups, and we looked at whether they were big or small, whether they had hair or they didn't, if they were quiet or they were noisy. And I've got a bit of a challenge for you this morning. I've got some Mega Bloks and I'm going to put them into different groups, and I want you to tell me which kind of groups I've sorted them into and see if you can figure it out, okay? So I'm going to start with, in this hand, I'm going to have this group, and then in this hand, I'm going to have this group. Can you tell me how I've sorted my blocks? Well done if you said I've sorted them into a colour. I have my green Mega Bloks in this group, and I have Mega Bloks that aren't green in this group. Well done. Now let's see if I can sort them a different way and try and trick you. I'm going to have these this side, and I'm going to have these this side. Can you tell me how I've sorted them this time? Well done if you said I've sorted them into size, so you can say that I have the small Mega Bloks in this hand and the large ones in this hand, the big ones, or into the numbers. So if you look, these ones have got one block on the top, and these ones, should we count them and see how many they've got? 1, 2, 3, 4. So these all have 4 on the top. So that's two different ways you could have sorted them. Well done. Let's try one more and see if you can tell me. I'm going to have these in this hand, and I'm going to have these in this hand. How have I sorted my blocks now? What do you think? Well done if you said I've sorted them into the different types of blocks. So these have got very small bumps on the top, and these ones have got large ones on the top. Well done, super. So lots of different ways that I can sort my Mega Bloks. Now today we're going to be looking at 3D shapes. Now I wonder if you know what 3D means. If you think you do you want to tell your mum or your dad what you think? Now 3D means it is a shape that is not flat. So if I drew a shape on a piece of paper, that would be a 2D shape, it's flat. But a 3D shape is a shape that stands up, so it's not flat. Now I've got some 3D shapes here, and I'm going to show you them, and then I wonder if your parent could pause the video and you can go and find them in your house. So let's have a quick look at the 4 different shapes I've got to show you today. I have this shape. Do you think you know what shape this is? Well done if you said that it is a cube. It's a cube. It looks a little bit, if I hold it like this, it looks like a square. But because it's 3D and it stands up, it is a cube. So that's one of my shapes. My next one is this one. Now it looks a little bit like my cube, but it's stretched. It's tall. What do we think this 3D shape is? Well done if you said that it is a cuboid. A cuboid. If you look on this side, this is a rectangle or an oblong, and it's a 3D shape, so it stands up and it is a cuboid. That's my second shape. My third shape is this. Does anybody know what shape this one is? Well done if you said that it is a cylinder. A cylinder. It's quite a tricky word to say. This is a 3D cylinder. If you have a look at the end, it has, what shape is this? A circle on both of the ends. So it is a cylinder. It's my third one. And my last shape, now this is the only object I could find that was this shape. Anybody know what shape this is? It is a ball, but do you know what we call a 3D ball? It is called a sphere. So it's a sphere, it's round, it's a 3D sphere. So what I would like you to do is you can pause the video and you can go on the hunt around your house and see if you can find those 4 different shapes for me. A cube, a cuboid, a cylinder, and a sphere. They can be any shape and size that you would like, and I'll let you go and find them now. Right, now that you have your 4 shapes, we're going to talk about them, and we're going to talk about their properties. And properties means all the different things a 3D shape has. So we're going to start with your cube. Can you find your cube for me? And we're going to count parts of our cube. We're going to count the sides that a cube has. Now the sides are all these edges that go all the way around it, and it looks like there might be quite a few. So would you like to hold your cube and we can count together how many sides it has? Are we ready? We'll start at the top and we'll go down the sides and finish on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. A cube has 12 sides. Now we're going to look at the corners. And the corners are sometimes called vertices as well. And the corners are these pointy bits that we have on our shape. So on your cube, let's count together your corners. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 corners or vertices on a cube. And the last thing we're going to look at are a cube's faces. Now you might think, well, my cube doesn't have any eyes or a nose, it doesn't have a face. But the faces are these areas here, these spaces in between your edges. So we're going to have a count of those and see what we can find. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One on the bottom. 6 faces. So we have 12 sides, 8 corners, and 6 faces on our cube. Super counting. Now, can you show me your cuboid? Which 3D shape was your cuboid? Well done if you picked up this one. Super. Shall we have a count of these as well and see if it's the same as the cube or if it's going to be different? Let's have a count. Let's start with the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Can you remember how many your cube had? They have the same number of sides. Let's count the corners or the vertices, these pointy bits. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 corners or vertices. Can you remember how many your cube had? It had 8 as well, so it's the same again. The last thing we're going to count then are the faces, which are these spaces in between your edges. Shall we have a count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 faces. That means that a cuboid and a cube have the same number of sides, the same number of corners, and the same number of faces. Wow. Can you now show me your cylinder? Can you remember which 3D shape was your cylinder? It was this one with the circle on the top and the bottom. Now we're going to count the sides on our cylinder. Are we ready? There's 1 here and there's 1 here. So how many is that? 1, 2. A cylinder has 2 sides. Now we're going to count the corners or the vertices, and those pointy bits. Oh, does your cylinder have any pointy bits on it? Any corners? No, a cylinder has no corners on it. Right, well, let's count our faces. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3. So this one here goes all the way around. We have 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom, and 1 all the way around. Do we know how many that is? 1, 2, 3. 3 faces. Oh, so that's a little bit different than our cube and our cuboid. And your last shape, can you remember what it's called? It's your sphere. sphere. Now a sphere, let's see if we can count how many edges it has. Oh, well, does your sphere have any edges? No, there's no lines like my cylinder has. So there's no edges on a sphere. Shall we count the corners on it? How many pointy bits can you find on your sphere? Can you find any corners on your sphere? No, no corners either. So no sides, no corners. Shall we count the faces? How many faces does your sphere have? Your sphere has one whole face. That's all your sphere has is one whole face. Wow. So we've learned lots about our 4 3D shapes. We've learned how many sides they have, how many corners or vertices they have, and how many faces they have. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sort our 3D shapes, a little bit like we did yesterday, into 2 different groups and see if we can find any that are the same and any that are different. So I'm going to do mine first by sorting them into how many corners my shapes have. Does my cuboid have corners? It does, doesn't it? So I'm going to put that this side. Does my cylinder have corners? Does your cylinder have corners? No, I'm going to put it this side. What about your cube? Does it have corners? Yes. So I'm going to put it with my cuboid. And your sphere, did it have any corners? No, so it's going to go this side. So let's count now how many shapes we've got in each group. I have my cube and my cuboid. How many shapes is this? 2. 2 with corners. And in my other group with no corners, I had my cylinder and my sphere. How many shapes is this? 2. Well done. I'm going to sort them a different way now. I'm going to sort them into whether they roll or not. So let's have a look. What do we think about our cylinder? Does your cylinder roll? Do you want to try rolling it along your table? Oh, I don't know if you can hear it, but mine is rolling. I think a cylinder does roll, so I'm going to put it this side. What about your cuboid? Does it roll along your table? Mine's not rolling, so I don't think it does roll, so I'm going to put it this side. What about your cube? Does your cube roll along your table? Mine's not rolling, so I think it needs to join my cuboid this side. And what about your sphere? Does your sphere roll? Oh, mine rolls. I think it can join my cylinder. So let's check how many we've got in each group now. So in my ones that do roll, I have my sphere and my cylinder. How many shapes is this? 2. 2 shapes that do roll. What about the ones that don't roll? How many did you have? I had 2, my cuboid and my cube that don't roll. I think I'm going to sort my 3D shapes one more different way. I think I'm going to sort them into whether they have 2 or more faces. Can you remember the faces are these spaces all around your shape? Let's count my cuboid. Can you remember? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces. Is that more than 2 faces? It is, isn't it? 6 is a bigger number, so that's going to go this side. What about my cylinder? How many faces did this have? 1, 2, 3. Is that more than 2 faces? It is. 3 is bigger than 2. And my last one is the cube. Shall we count the faces on the cube? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is 6 more than 2? Yes. So that can join my shapes over there. And my last shape is my sphere. Can you remember how many faces we said a sphere has? It has 1 face. So is that more than 2 or less than 2? It's less than 2, isn't it? So it's going to go this side. So now I'm going to count my shapes. How many shapes had more than 2 faces? How many shapes do we have? Shall we check? 1, 2, Three shapes with more than two faces. How many had less than two faces? One, my sphere. Super. What you can do now then is you can sort your 3D shapes into lots of different ways. You might even want to label them, so you could write on a piece of paper like we did yesterday. You can write whether they roll or they don't roll. You can write how many corners they have, whether they do have corners, whether they don't. You can write whether your shape has got more than 6 edges or whether it's got less than 6 edges. There's lots of different ways that you can sort your 3D shapes. So I'd like you to think of as many different ways as you can, and then please take photos, take videos and put them on Tapestry, and we can have a look at all your super 3D shape learning. Remember, we're looking at your sides, your corners or your vertices, and your faces. And then you can enjoy exploring all the different properties that your 3D shapes have. And remember, 3D means that they're not flat, they stand up. So I hope you have a super maths lesson learning about 3D shapes and all the different properties and the groups you can sort them into. And I hope you take care, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.